Hi,
Yes.
everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Stratford Film Festival's A Conversation With. Today's guest is Allison Reed, director of the wonderful documentary, The Art of Adventure. Allison is uniquely qualified to make a film about adventure because she is actually very adventurous herself. She started out as a stunt performer. Her first gig was at age 17 as a stunt double for Megan Follows on The Littlest Hobo. She also broke her neck while rolling a car for another project and still has the halo indentations on the sides of her head to prove it. But that hasn't stopped her. Though she's still in demand as a stunt coordinator and does that, she is also a director of feature films, lots of episodic television, and some pretty impressive documentaries, including The Woman Who Loved Giraffes and now The Art of Adventure. Allison, welcome. Thank you for making such a captivating documentary.
Thank you so much for having us.
How did you move, the logical question, how did you move from stunt work to narrative fiction and documentary?
Well, it's funny, stunt coordinating is really like a microcosm of directing. And I've always had a yen to tell stories from an early age. In fact, my first television writing credits were back in my 20s on a television series called Cats and Dog.
I remember
And
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But I loved my stunt career and my stunt career took off. So I went in that direction. But as time went on, I wanted to be more involved in the storytelling process. And it was just a natural evolution to get into directing.
Well, I found the story of how you came to this particular story quite interesting. So you made the documentary about Anne Dagg called The Woman Who Loved Giraffes, and she had a connection to the two people featured in The Art of Adventure. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, sure. Yeah, it's so wild that three Canadian icons, Anne, Robert Bateman, and Bristol Foster, were all in the same friendship circle at the University of Toronto back in the 50s. So Bristol, who's Robert Bateman's best friend, was in Anne's biology class,
Mhm.
and together they would later write a book called The Giraffe, Its Behavior, Biology, and Ecology, which became known globally as the Bible on Giraffes.
Mhm.
So Bristol did a study of another subspecies of giraffes in Kenya after Anne did her pioneering study. So those two Canadians are the pioneers of giraffe science, in the whole wide world, which is kind of ironic. So Anne considers Robert her first boyfriend. So the two of them had a couple of dates. I don't think it went very far, but they had a couple of dates back when they were in university, and we actually had a reunion which I filmed back in 2021. So that reunion with Anne, her daughter Mary, and the Fosters and Batemans. It'll be on our YouTube channel shortly. The Art of Adventure would not have been possible without the three most important women in my life. My mother raised me in such a way as to think anything was possible, and that you could always make something happen if you wanted to make it happen. So that's why I decided I could become a stunt performer and stunt coordinator.
And what a
And that,
gift that is to tell someone you can do anything you want and really believe it, and you just have to want it and go after it. My
yeah.
mother must have been friends with your mother because my mother was exactly the same, though I'm a physical coward and never would have been. Listen,
And it wasn't necessarily that my mom told me I could do anything. She just sort of led by example,
right.
you know?
Now, your
Um,
partner Cheryl has a connection to how this documentary came about. So share that with us.
so Cheryl wanted to go to Vancouver Island and Salt Spring Island for her birthday. And of course, I knew that Bristol and Bob were also living on Salt Spring Island. So I decided that while we were there, we might as well give them a call and say, hey, do you want to go for a coffee? so the next thing I know, we were having lunch at the Batemans with the Fosters and the Batemans, and hearing about this story. And then, of course, I was hooked and had to do the documentary rather.
Had you known
So
about this story before?
no, no, I had because of Anne's contact. I had reached out to Robert and Bristol for photos as I was making The Woman Who Loves Giraffes, but I had never met them, and I don't think I knew about this story. But
Now, how
I
did you feel when you heard the story? Because I've made documentary films too, and I know that feeling of excitement and, oh my God, this is a really good story. Did you experience that? Was it a slow burn? Was it an immediate, I got to do this? How did it come about?
it was so powerful. It was the same feeling I got when I heard about Anne's story, in which like there was just no choice. Like yeah, I had to do it. I didn't intend to make another documentary because scripted filmmaking
Yes.
is where I come from, but yeah, there was no choice after meeting them and hearing about this incredible story and all the resources, the treasure trove of material with which to tell it. I mean, Bristol started shooting this film 69 years ago, in
Amazing.
1957. So I feel like a latecomer. I only worked on it for 4 years, but we've got footage of them, over all those decades, 7 decades of material.
And Bristol went on to continue as a filmmaker and made over 30 nature documentaries and nature of things and various other things. So it's so fascinating that they have this footage capturing them evolving into their life's passions, and you see Robert Bateman evolve as an artist. And you see the different film camera angles and things like that. I mean, he was thinking it through. He was thinking like a filmmaker. The one thing that really struck me when I watched this film, we used to get like every family National Geographic, right? And this felt like a National Geographic magazine come to life. Like it had that excitement. It had that spirit of the unknown and what's going on. And the archival footage and the photos and everything, it really brings it alive. And how many people go to 19 countries when they're in their late 20s on an adventure, which was pretty dangerous at times?
Yeah, yeah, it was. It was. And you're right. It's just it's like a time capsule, that footage to take us back into the way the world was.
How did you deal with all the archival footage and photographs? Did you have an archivist work on it, or did you dive in both? How did you deal with that?
Yeah, the film footage that Bristol shot on his Bolex 16 millimeter camera on the trip. So actually, Bristol's stepson, David Drake, did a lot of work fixing them up and getting them to us, as did Kate, who's Robert Bateman and his wife Birgit Bateman's executive assistant. So she's
Right.
got an incredible wealth of knowledge about where everything is and where to find it. And she was a tremendous help as well.
So Bristol is now 93, I believe, and Robert is 95. And so you have them at the beginnings of their adult lives, and now you have them in this kind of, final chapter. And was that always the idea to bookend them that way?
Um, yeah, the documentaries are made in the editing room, and I have to credit my wonderful, talented, sensitive filmmaker, Dave Casala. So he also edited a film named To Kill a Tiger that was nominated for an Oscar, and he and I racked our. It seems obvious now how the film is laid out, but it wasn't obvious in the beginning, and we sort of found our way. Some people are afraid of leaning into the fact that they're two guys in their 90s. And, we found that absolutely beautiful and part of the story.
And
So,
that enduring friendship, and that they
yes,
both are so passionate, not only about what they did, but also the environment, and that ties in so beautifully because the whole film is about them exploring the natural world and other societies and seeing the world, and then they're trying to take care of part of the world in their area. So
yes.
it was very satisfying, I think.
Okay, good. I'm glad. Yeah, I mean, people do find them. I wanted to be a hopeful film, and I think that people do leave feeling uplifted and hopeful.
Yeah. Now, one thing, I mean, everybody at least when I grew up, knew Robert Bateman and Robert Bateman's art, and many people had prints in their homes. And one of the things that you've said is that, his work is not in the National Gallery, yet it was given as gifts to dignitaries, and he's known internationally. And his work is maybe perceived as less artistic because it is observational and it's a type of realism. And do you think that's going to change because of this film? Because I loved watching the progression of his artwork and his philosophy about how he wanted it to be accessible to people.
Yeah, isn't it ridiculous how, I mean, I think as Canadians, we have been reluctant to sort of toot our own horns and celebrate our own. I mean, Anne in a stag, the giraffe scientist, is a perfect example of that,
Right.
And likewise with Bristol and Bob, I think that if this trip was done by an American or by a British person,
Right.
it would have been recognized by now. And the same with Bob's art. Like, it is astounding to me that given the scope of his work, I mean, he's not only well known and celebrated in Canada, but
Yeah.
internationally, and that he's not represented in the National Gallery is astounding to me. But
I
I
think we
think
need a
we're
petition. I think we need to do
Sure,
something about
sure. I
this.
mean, but I think we're at a tipping point. I think the climate in the planet right now is such that I think we're ready to start celebrating our own.
You had some challenges with the financing on this, which must have been frustrating because you had a very successful film before. But you did manage to patchwork it. And for people who have just seen this at the Stratford Auditorium, um, where can they tell their friends that they can see it, or can they watch it again?
Oh, fantastic. Great question. Thank you. So I'm so thrilled. Our distributor, Game Theory Films, is releasing the film in select theaters across Canada, starting on April 10th to celebrate Earth Day, or Earth Month. Earth Day is the 22nd of April. So we have a website called theartofadventuremovie.com, and all the screenings are listed there. So whatever city you're in,
Okay.
you can check out where we're playing. And Robert and Bristol will actually be in Ontario for our launch, so we'll be doing some Q&As together on a little tour starting